Hello students. In the last classes, I explained about air pollution, noise pollution, and in the last class I explained about water pollution. And today I am going to discuss about soil pollution. Soil pollution can be defined as the process of addition of toxic chemicals in the soil in high concentration which causes risk to the mankind and also to the ecosystem. Now, after listening to the definition, most of you got one doubt: how these chemicals are getting added into the soil. This is a question, and for this, the answer is soil. It is polluted by the water and also air. For example, if you used the water, obviously that water it need to go to the soil only. For example, air is there. In air, there are so many pollutants. It may be particulate or it may be gases. Students, hope you remember air pollution. I told air pollution can be done by two ways. It may be by particulate waste or it may be gaseous waste. Hope you remember this point. Now, anyway, let us take some sulfur, sulfur dioxide. Sulfur dioxide is a gaseous pollutant that is present in the air. Now, when the rainwater it is coming, then this is SO2, that means sulfur dioxide. It adds to this particular water and it converts into sulfuric acid. So the rainwater it comes. It converts into the acid rain. Now you tell me, air, the pollutants that are present in the air, but finally they are reaching to where? Soil only, na? So the toxic chemicals are adding into the soil, not directly by water or air. So by these two mediums, the soil it is getting polluted. See, I clearly mentioned here the pollutants mixed into the soil through the rainwater. For this, I gave examples also. This H2SO4, that means sulfuric acid, formed by mixing of SO2 with rainwater and it converts into the acid rain. And utilization of indiscriminate utilization of fertilizers, pesticides and weedicides when they are spreaded into the crops. Only plants, actually, with what intention we will spread this particular fertilizer? To control the weeds. The actual crop, for example, you are growing paddy. Now you wanted to save your actual crop, paddy crop, but along with this particular paddy crop there are some other organisms are also living, like earthworms, some nematodes. They are friends to the farmers. In intention of saving this main crop, you are killing all the other plants. Sometimes it may be useful plants and killing all the other useful animals also. So this is a very bad effect of chemical based fertilizers and chemical based pesticides and chemical based weedicides. They're highly toxic actually. Now, this soil pollution, just don't include only these two, and we are also responsible. How you know? So excluding these, that means apart from these reasons, the above mentioned reasons, soil pollution also caused by disposal of household detergent, sewage, and also flowering oils and radioactive substances and even hot water also. So we are also responsible. Mankind is actually responsible for the soil pollution, and these are some other reasons of the soil pollution. And the main pollutants of the soil are DDT and weedicides. And weedicides ka examples are 2,4-dichlorophenoxyacetic acid. Very simply you can call it as 2,4-D. 2,4-dichlorophenoxyacetic acid and also 2,4,5-T. That means 2,4,5-trichlorophenoxyacetic acids. So what are these? Obviously, when I'm taking these names, you may get some doubt. The doubt is, what are these two substances? These are the weedicides that are available in the market. Basically, what do you mean by weedicides? Weedicides means when you are growing a crop, along with the actual crop, some unwanted plants also will grow. So to control that particular, to control the growth of that extra plants along with your actual crop, you wanted to kill them. That's why you are using weedicides. Hope you understood what is the meaning of weedicide. And now let us take few more details of soil pollution. Now, agrochemicals, that means agriculture by the uses of this chemical derived fertilizers, pesticides and weedicides, etc. and etc. And these, how they are influencing our agriculture, and that means their effects. Let us take the agrochemicals, including the extensive usage of inorganic fertilizers, insecticides, pesticides, weedicides, etc., for the improvement of the crop productivity. Especially, I have to take this name, it's very important to take this name. During Green Revolution, we are thinking that we are increasing the yield of the crop, but we actually did not realize what are the bad effects of that Green Revolution. Green Revolution, actually, the Green Revolution started with a pure intention, with a very good intention to increase the yield of the crop. But while this process it is going on, it changed to the hazardous effect to the mankind, and of course not only to the mankind, for other animals also, and for even other plants also. So during Green Revolution, such chemicals are used extensively to increase the crop productivity. So the idea of Green Revolution started with a very good intention, pure intention, but later, due to the human indiscriminate practices, it turned into a very hazardous effect. Now, this indiscriminate use effects, that means by using these chemicals, by using these chemicals in extensive way, that means over a limit, that means more than beyond the limit, what all the bad effects that we are going to face. Let us take one after one. Toxic and toxic to the non-target organisms, that means just 5-10 minutes back only I told, in our crop, along with the actual crop, there are some friendly organisms are also present. Now, by using this agro, that especially this chemical derived insecticides, weedicides, whatever, they maintain the actual crop and kill all the other organisms. Sometimes they, in that organisms, there are many useful organisms like earthworms. Earthworms are basically considered as a friends of farmer, they also will be killed. Now, non-biodegradable agrochemicals, they causes biomagnification. Students, I already told what is the meaning of biomagnification just in the last class. So, for example, if you forget, there is no problem. Again, once again you watch that video and then you will recollect what is biomagnification. By taking an example also, by taking a DDT as an example, I explained this biomagnification so clearly. So please go through that. If you forget, if you remember, that's very good. Now, the addition of this nitrates and also phosphate, present in the fertilizers, it causes eutrophication. Students, the same thing I am going to tell you again. Eutrophication also, just in the last class I explained. So please go through that. Now, decrease in the soil fertility. See, actually, I'll tell you a very simple example. Definitely you will understand. One person is there. He got every time he is getting fever. So you started giving him as a part of treatment some paracetamol. You have given 50 mg of paracetamol. Now, after 2-3 times, the fever, whatever it is, whatever he is getting, it is treated with 50 grams. After few instances, that after few repetitions, it don't work. He expect, that means the body cannot be able to take control the fever with just 50 mg. Now it is increased to 100 mg, and after 2-3 infections, and again it is increased to 150 mg. That means the resistance capacity of our body increases. Like that, the resistance capacity of these weeds and also these particular pests also will be increased. That's why 1 year after 1 year, 1 year after 1 year, the utilization of the chemicals, it will be increased. So the investment, it will be increased, and the profit, it will be reduced. When there is no profit, then what happens? The investment is increasing, but he is not getting profit. So he will take the debts from he will take money from bank and also some other people, and finally one day will come, he can't be able to repay it. That's why this many farmer suicides are taking place. So these chemical fertilizers are always hazardous to the mankind, not only to the mankind, to other organisms also, to other plants also, either in terms of economy or in terms of the healthy environment of our what I call livelihood. Everything, for everything, this particular chemical utilization is very very hazardous. Now let us take a case study of organic farming. What is the meaning of organic farming? Before we go to the details, first of all we should know what is organic farming. Organic farming means this is a farming which completely avoid, or at least it reduces 90% usage of these chemicals. Then that is called as organic farming. Organic farming means there is no utilization of any chemical derived pesticides, insecticides or whatever, etc. and etc. So without uses of this, we are farming just by using the natural products like a cow dung. For example, if you want some fertilizer, if you want to boost up the fertilization capacity, that fertility of the soil, then you will use cow dung, cow urine, etc. By using like natural products. For example, some pests are troubling your crop, then you use neem and some other plants juices to kill them. Like that, if you are using the natural products and you are increasing the yield of the plant, productivity of the plant, then that is called as organic farming. Now a case study of the organic farming, actually this is a case study. It is started by integrated organic farming procedure. How? I'll tell you. This basically integrated organic farming, it is a cyclic and zero waste procedure in which waste products from one process are cycled. आपको समझ में आ रहा है ना? Waste products of one procedure, it is not thrown off, then it is again utilized, that means in a cyclic manner, and again it is used for another one. Hope you understood, but very clearly I am going to tell you. So clearly I am going to explain this. There is one farmer, his name is Ramesh Chandra Dagar. Now this Ramesh Chandra Dagar, a farmer of Haryana, he included beekeeping, dairy farm management, water harvesting, and also composting and agriculture like a series. That means I don't know, I actually searched before I started this explaining this. I searched for this Ramesh Chandra Dagar, but I did not get proper information in how many acres he cultivated it. Let us take, he is having some 15-20 acres. In this 15-20 acres, students, I really don't know, I'm just telling for your understanding. He is having some acres of land. In some acres of land, along with the farming, that means actual agriculture, he started growing beekeeping also. Hope you know what is the meaning of beekeeping. Taking care of this particular honey bees and getting the honey and of course the other products, then that is called as beekeeping. And dairy management, what is the meaning of dairy management? Taking care of this cows, buffaloes and goats, etc. That is called as a dairy farm management. And water harvesting, basically water harvesting means what? Collecting of the water and processing of the water and preserving the water for the future use. And composting, that means without buying the fertilizers outside, going to the shop and chemical derived pesticides, instead of buying it, he started preparing the natural compost, natural pesticide, natural insecticide, natural fertilizer, then that is called as composting. Like a series, in his land, he started growing all these things. And then what are the advantages of this integrated organic farming? Let us take, there is no need of uses of chemical fertilizers for the crop. And cattle excreta like dung and urine, they are utilized as a manure. That means he did not buy any chemical derived fertilizer from outside, so he just used, because hope you remember, just 2-3 minutes back only I told, he also included dairy farm management also in this, in his crop. So obviously dairy farm management means this cows and also buffaloes, they produce their excreta, their dung, it is utilized as a manure, and crop waste is used to create compost. It's a natural fertilizer, and this compost is also utilized to produce a natural gas. That means he did not buy any what you call induction, what you call electricity based, or even the what you call HP gas, or what you call Bharat gas, and nothing. Just he produced the biogas by using this cow dung. See, this many what you call advantages are there. He did not by spending single rupee also, he did not buy any fertilizer. With recycling all these particular products of one product, he utilized somewhere, and that product he utilized somewhere, like that. He did not buy anything from outside, but he got a very good yield. And Dagar, he also created Haryana Kisan Welfare Club. So he started educating all the villagers so that they also have to implement the same integrated organic farming. He is motivating in such a way. Right now, the current membership is, it includes 5,000 farmers. That means 5,000 farmers he changed. See what a great man he is. He did it, and he became an icon, and he also inspired the others to participate in this, so that all the farmers, they will be in the safe zone. They will get a good profit with what I call less investment and a great what I call productivity, and with great money, so that the lives of the farmers and the life of this particular plants, life of the animals, and even the pollution of this particular environment, it will be reduced, and the life of the plants, mankind, and profit, everything, it will be increased. So such a very great case study is integrated organic farming. Hope you understood. It's an amazing process actually. Now the next one is degradation of natural resources. That means how the natural resources are getting lost. The degradation of natural resources can occur not just by the action of pollutants, but also by improper resource utilization practices. That means you should understand, you should know, you should have basic idea how to utilize the resources. If you don't have that idea, obviously the indiscriminate usage it takes place, which greatly results in a disastrous effects. Now the degradation of natural resources mainly caused due to soil erosion. Students, I'm going to explain all these three in a very detailed way. Just I'll take the names: soil erosion, deforestation, water logging, and soil salinity. So let us take one after one in a very clear way. Now the first one, soil erosion. Basically, if you take the soil, the top soil, that means the uppermost layer of the soil, which consisting of humus. Students, in the soil topic, in the first chapter of your ecology, organisms and population में, in abiotic components topic में, I clearly, very clearly, I explained about what is soil and what are the various zones that are present in the soil. Everything I explained. By any chance, if you forget, don't worry. Again, go back to that. Again, you read it, and then you will understand. So now I'm what I call controlling myself to take only soil erosion. Again, I don't wanted to go into the details of the soil. The top soil, which consisting of humus and various useful microbes, which greatly increases the fertility of the soil, which is very very essential for the growth of the plants. Now due to fast wind or fast raining or cyclone or running water, if this top soil, it is getting what I call transported from one place to another place. That means the removal of this particular upper topmost soil, fertile topmost soil, due to any other reason, then that is called as soil erosion. And reasons responsible for minimizing the fertility power of the soil in the nature are: one, shortage of mineral substances, because just I clearly mentioned topsoil, it consisting of very very useful what I call inorganic substances like minerals, and also the useful microbes which helps in the decomposing and mineral recycling. Such top layer only it is losing, matlab obviously it results in shortage of mineral substances. It's no wonder. and leaching. That means that dissolved minerals go into the deeper layers of the water so that they becomes unavailable for the absorption of the roots of the plants. So it is a disastrous effect only na? Now the development of the fertile top soil, it takes centuries. That means it takes many years, hundreds and hundreds of years. But to remove this particular top soil, it is very easy. How? By over cultivation, and by urbanization, and unrestricted grazing, and deforestation, and poor irrigation practices. The irrigation practices without having a basic common sense and basic idea. By all these things, we are losing the topmost, what I call, most fertile and potent soil. And this soil erosion ऐसा ही चल रहा है, मतलब obviously it results in a desert formation. Deserts it will be created on the earth planet. Okay, now let us take the next. Hope you understood soil erosion. Soil erosion basically means the what I call removal of the topmost soil, which is our topmost soil is, which is a very fertile soil. If you are removing, then that only you are calling it as soil erosion. Now the second reason, very hazardous reason, is deforestation. Deforestation means conversion of forest area to non-forest area. That means humans, for any need, whatever the need they are having, maybe for building houses, or for what you call firewood, or whatever reasons apart, for any reason they are clearing the forest. So by clearing the forest, what are the hazardous effects we will get, that only we are going to discuss. According to the recent estimate, 40% of forests have been lost in the tropics. That means the tropic regions, they lost 40% of the forest, and 1% in the temperate regions have been lost. Whereas in India, at the beginning of the 20th century, that means beginning of the 20th century, 30% of the forest cover is there, but by the end of the 20th century, it is shrunk to 19.4. That means almost like half it is what I call reduced. Almost more than half it is reduced. Now National Forest Policy 1988 of India recommended 33 percentage of the forest cover in plains, and 67 forest cover must be there on hills. Now, internationally, it has been recognized that deforestation is a major problem nowadays, particularly due to the increased urbanization. That means conversion of the forest for what I call colonies, or also making societies like that. For urbanization, the most of the forests are being cleared. Now let us take the third reason. The third reason is waterlogging and soil salinity. Students, you remember a few minutes back I told, if anyone are farming, they must have proper idea how to do the farming. I have sown the seeds in the soil, and after 1 year I'll get the crop, and I'll get the yield. I'll sell it, and I'll make money. This stupid intention, it must not be there to the farmers. Actually, how to do the farming, it need a lot of planning and a lot of caring, then only the person he will get the result. Now irrigation without proper drainage of water leads to the water logging in the soil. This water logging, besides affecting the crop, water logging, it brings the soil to the surface of the soil. When the soil, it is deposited as a thin crust on the land surface, it started collecting, it affects the roots of the plants, and this increased soil content, it inhibits the growth of the crops and extremely damaging the agriculture. And waterlogging and salinity are some of the problems that have come in the week of in the what I call, in the wake of this green revolution. And this all started due to the green revolution, in the what I call trauma of producing the more productivity. So the green revolution, it started, as I do accept, green revolution started with a very good intention, but due to the human indiscriminate activities, or due to the improper planning, or whatever the reasons apart, but it turned into hazardous what I call process. Okay, Now let us take plant indicators. There are certain plants, they have capacity to tell about environment and pollution, etc., and they are called as plant indicators. For your understanding, I brought few examples also. Osimum plant, tulsi, you will call tulsi. This tulsi plant, it show the presence of copper in the soil, whereas there is one plant called as silence. Of course I also did not see personally, I'm telling you, I did not see this plant. There is a plant called silence. It indicates the cobalt presence in the soil, and this is a famous example. Everyone who are listening to this class, they know this. Lichens are the best indicators of the pollution, so these are bio indicator plants. Okay. Now, factors that is affecting deforestation. What are the reasons for this deforestation? Deforestation, it is mainly due to conversion of the forest to agricultural land. Next one is cutting the trees for timber, firewood, or cattle farming, or reasons apart, but cutting the trees, they are the responsible for deforestation. And also these days, one of the main reasons for deforestation is zoom cultivation, that means slash and burn agriculture. That means very simple, conversion of the hilly areas for the agricultural process. Basically hill, it is one of the best source for ecosystem. That means it maintains a variety of crops, sorry, variety of the plants and variety of the animals. But due to the human greed, removing all the plants, you are growing only one type of the plant which gives the profit to you. This is bad, na? Basically ecosystem should have all the species and all the animal species, that means flora, sorry, fauna, and also plant species, that means flora, all must be there. Then only the equilibrium it will be maintained in this ecosystem. If you disturb this particular ecosystem, obviously the ecosystem, it gives you adverse effect. Am I correct or not? So forests and also hills, they are one of the best sources to maintain the equilibrium in the ecosystem. Such source of the ecosystem, hills, you are converting. So let us take very simple example. Let us go to one hilly area. In that, how many different varieties of plants will be there, think, and how many different types of animals are there, you think. Removing all that many number of species and by killing that many number of animals, you are growing one wheat crop, you are growing only one rice crop, you are growing only one soya bean crop, which has happened. Amazon forest, they are losing their ecosystem by just growing soya bean crop. And I already told in the biodiversity so clearly, and I have shown that images also to you for your understanding. So just in the what I call idea of creating one crop, you are killing that many number of species and that many number of organisms. It is not a good practice. So zoom cultivation is a not at all good practice. They're slashing, they're cutting all the plants, and they're burning all these particular wastes, and they're using them as a manure, which is not a good practice. Okay. Now let us take one more topic, consequences of deforestation. Students, this, if I don't tell also, you will understand. The carbon dioxide content enormously increases in the atmosphere, which causes the global warming, one of the most hazardous effect, because plants have ability to absorb this carbon content so that they can do carbon fixation and convert this particular carbon dioxide to the carbohydrates. So toxic carbon compounds, they are converted into the useful food. That beautiful process, it is done by the plants. Now such plants only are removing, though what happens, the carbon dioxide concentration obviously increases, and that affects the environment by increasing the temperature. Slowly it converts into the what I call global warming. So that is the reason why nowadays we are getting only one season, that is what I call this what I call summer season. The winter though gone, and this what I call rainy season though, it is lost only, it is endangered, I can say. So of course, very luckily nowadays I can see some rainfall. But if you remember, 2 years back Baramati did not get any this rainfall only. Now deforestation also causes a loss of diversity due to the habitat destruction. Now it disturbs the hydrological cycle and a cause of soil erosion, and in extreme cases it also results in desertation. That means a desert formation takes place. Okay, so these are some consequences of deforestation. Now, reforestation. What is reforestation? The process of restoring the forest is called as reforestation. Whereas the management of the forest for the benefit of the entire ecosystem, and that is called as silviculture. Silviculture means, again, by restoring the forest, you are maintaining the ecosystem. Then that is called as a silviculture. Okay. Now, conservation of forest. Now, conservation of the forest, actually I have to take two examples, then you will understand. The first example is Amrita Devi. And Amrita Devi, exactly, I'll tell you what exactly the story is. In 1731, in that year, the king of Jodhpur, Rajasthan, he wanted to build a kind of new palace for him. Now, when he want obviously new palace, obviously what happens? They need some wood. Am I correct? Not now. They entered into the nearby forest and they started cutting these plants. So this Vaishnav community, especially this Amrita Devi of which belongs to this Vishnoi community, they all came and they started protesting this cutting these trees, and they did not listen. So they started hugging this particular trees. Now you cut the trees along with us. And these stupid ministers, they did not listen to this Amrita Devi. And very, while I'm telling only, I'm feeling so bad. Along with the tree, they cut Amrita Devi also. And not only Amrita Devi, they killed three daughters of her, and also many Bishnois. So many Bishnois were killed just to build a new palace. How, like, while I'm saying only, I'm feeling so bad. Such a very sad, very bad incident that has happened. Now, government recently recognized this sacrifice, and they started giving this Amrita Devi Vaishnoi wildlife protection awards also, those who are taking care of this forest. And second incident also I'll tell you, that is Chipko movement. Actually, there is a contractors are there. When the contractors, they started, actually this has actually happened in Gardwal of Himalayan region. In that Gardwal it has happened. Some builder, he went to the forest to cut the trees, and all these particular Gardwal people, they started hugging the trees. Now you cut the trees, and of course it was stopped successfully. But Amrita Dev incident mein, the bad thing happened is they lost their lives. But Chipko movement mein, luckily they were saved. None of them were lost their lives. So in such a way, we need to love the nature. Plants are very, very important. Actually, they can't speak now. That's why we are we least bothered about them. We are killing them. Just removing a tree, it is just nothing for you. But removing a tree, how many liters of oxygen it will clarify, it will clear, and how many liters of oxygen it can purify, and how many liters of water it can be able to produce in the name of transpiration, and how much of rainfall it can be able to contribute, and how much of the food material it can be able to contribute to the mankind. So please think and save the plants. Plants are very, very important. 84 lakh living species mean none of the species it is considered as the primary producers. Only plants are given with such a respectable position called as primary producers. Are you are having this non-vegetarian, for example, any hen or any goat, are you considering primary producer? No, because it cannot be able to produce its own food material. But plants, just by carbon dioxide, you are polluting. That polluted gas it is taking, and it is producing food material for us. Itna good qualities, where in what else species you can be able to find? So save plants. Every birthday and every occasion may bring one plant. If you are thinking about their maintenance, no worry, we have alternative also. Bring succulent plants. If 1 year may 2 times if you water them also, that is sufficient for them. Bring some succulent plants. It gives a nice pleasant view also, and also healthy gases it will be released, oxygen it is released, and also you can be able to contribute a lot for the welfare of the mankind. So please understand the importance of the plants. Now, joint forest management, it's very simple. Government of India in 1980 introduced the concept of joint forest management, in which various local communities were given like a charge. Now you are the people, you only take care of this particular forest. Now you have to save the forest, and obviously for their maintenance you can take the what you call, products of this forest, but finally you need to save this particular what you call forest. And that is that idea, it is called as joint forest management. Very simply you can call it as JFM. Like that, by doing this particular joint forest management, the communities which are living there na, they can happily utilize the products of this forest, and the forest ecosystem, it will be what I call preserved for the future generation. Okay, this is all about the soil pollution and other what I call information about chipko movement, and also this is zoom cultivation, etc. and etc. Hope you understood, students. If you don't understand any topic, you can ask me any doubt. Okay, thank you so much.